My name is Jackson Kinyanjui. I am the founder of Climate Change Kenya, and today I want us to dwell into the budget, that is the 2020-2021 budget, and what does it hold for the environment, and more specifically, has it catered for the energy sector and the climate change sector. The 2020-2021 budget stood at 3.66 trillion, and from the figures it's possible to see that it is an increase from 2017-2018, which stood at 2.77 trillion Kenya shillings. So it has been on an increase, and with that we can very well see that 93.2 billion Kenya shillings has been allocated for environmental management and protection. Which are the biggest gainers in terms of the environmental sectors? Which sectors have been allocated money to fight these effects of climate change, and more specifically environmental protection? In the climate change sector, it has been awarded 28 billion, which is more or less a third of the 90 billion which has been allocated for environmental management and protection. The division of that money is that 18 billion will be allocated for FLOCA, which is financing locally led climate action programs for the next 5 years. This will be achieved through development of climate change laws through the counties and establishment of climate change funds. Also, the Kenyan government has been able to establish or approved the sovereign green bond framework. This green bond framework will help to finance the green projects under the economy recovery strategy. Also, a 10.7 billion has been allocated for the purposes of increasing agricultural productivity and enhancing resilience to climate change risks among the smallholder farmers and pastoralist communities. This will be achieved through 8.9 billion being allocated for climate smart agriculture and 1.1 billion to enhance drought resilience. 178 million Kenya shillings has been also allocated for drought emergencies in Kenya, and also 529 million has been allocated for livestock and crop insurance. This we see is a positive trend towards cushioning our farmers from the effects of climate change, be it droughts, be it floods. And in the energy sector, we are having 11.3 billion being allocated for geothermal development. This is a positive trend towards putting an injection or a boost towards the green energy sector. 1.3 billion Kenya shillings has been allocated for nuclear energy and exploration. Nuclear energy is one way also of us shifting from the carbon or fossil fuel kind of dependency into nuclear energy, which is a form of clean energy. Also, we see there is a VAT exemption, a tax exemption on goods exclusively aimed at geothermal power generation. This is a positive trend for the investors aiming to dwell into this sector. There's also VAT exemptions on equipments aimed at generation of solar and wind power. This is a good and a positive trend towards encouraging green energy and green kind of economy. In the environmental sector, 9.6 billion has been allocated for forest and water tower conservation. 10.4 billion has been allocated for irrigation and land reclamation. 10.8 billion has also been allocated for water storage and food control. And last but not least, in the environmental sector, 8.2 billion has been allocated for wildlife conservation and management. This is a positive trend towards ensuring the environment is protected. But which are some of the biggest drops we have seen in this budget of 2020-2021 in terms of environmental management and protection? 1. There has been a duty-free on the manufacturers of face masks. The reason being that face masks have a shelf life or a disposable shelf life of around 400 years. These face masks have plastics elements inside them, and these can create a buildup of plastics and microplastics in the environment if these face masks are not disposed in the manner that they are supposed to be disposed in terms of recycling them. Also, there has been a VAT exemption on baby diapers. Baby diapers, together with face masks, have a disposable shelf life of around 400 years. And together, they contribute so much to the pollution aspect of the environment. So giving them a VAT exemption, this will lead to a buildup of these two materials, the baby diapers and the face masks, and this calls for the government to come up with stringent measures in terms of recycling this waste, or else we are going to have a problem that we might not be able to solve in the future. Also, there has been a VAT exemption for oil exploration and mining. This to us is a big backdrop in terms of making sure that we attain our NDCs, which are aimed at cutting our carbon emissions by 32%. When you encourage the oil exploration, this is more or less encouraging the use of fossil fuel, which we are trying to shift from. Also, we are having a Kenya shillings 1.3 billion allocated for the development of mining of coal together with nuclear energy. But here the issue is mining of coal. How do you allocate money for the mining of coal? And yet, we had a landmark ruling by one of the courts in Kenya whereby it stopped the coal investment that was trying to come up in Lamu. And once we see the budget has allocated money for mining of coal, then we see this as an insult or a slap to the face in terms of going back into the carbon kind of fuel economy. Last but not least, there is a 16% VAT charged on LPG gas. LPG gas has been seen as one of the ways whereby the people who are living, mostly who are dependent on firewood, who are dependent on charcoal, who are dependent on trees, have stopped cutting these trees and using of charcoal because of the LPG gas. But now once you increase the VAT by 16%, then this sends a negative message to them in that they'll have to resort to the cheapest source of energy, which is charcoal or firewood. Putting in mind that Kenya and all countries in the world are aiming at increasing their forest cover to 10%. This we see will not be attained with such stringent measures, because people will end up resorting to the cutting of trees, the using of charcoal, because the VAT has been increased on LPG gas. We are calling on the government to review all these changes, especially the ones that are touching on energy, that is VAT being increased, mining of coal, the face masks, diapers and oil exploration, because we see these ones as a backdrop in terms of Kenya attaining or meeting its ambition in terms of cutting its carbon emissions by 32%. Thank you so much for listening, and my name is Jackson Kinyanjui, and please do remember to subscribe to my channel for more in-depth analysis on the budget of 2020-2021 analysis. Goodbye and thank you so much.